This has been an incredibly busy and industrious start to the school year, with over 100 PE events, with 50 educational visits and 75 special events taking place this term alone. You can just see how hard everybody is working and how productive they have all been. The St Celia's Day concert a couple of weeks ago was a particular highlight. The music was just quite unbelievable, both in terms of choral events, group events and individual solo events. We've had sporting success in the world of IT, technology. There has been so much going on. The students and the staff should quite rightly feel very proud.
Last summer, around 30 students took the shot up to Eckental in southern Germany. There, we got to experience German life firsthand through a partnership led by Gymnasium Eckental and our school, allowing us each to stay with the German partner family. It was great to experience German culture for ourselves, including trips to local castles and towns and sampling some of the German delicacies. One of my favourites was the traditional Bavarian bratwurst sausage. Despite the shock of experiencing decent summer weather, we found the trip overall very enjoyable and culturally informative.
Following the success of our visit, our German partners arrived in September for the second half of the exchange. Through visits to local attractions including the Eden Project, Exeter and a boat trip along the Ex-Estuary, the German students were able to not only experience the depressing British weather, but also the sights and culture of the Southwest. Overall, the German exchange managed to provide us with a fantastic opportunity to improve our language skills, all within a selection of highly enjoyable trips both at home and abroad.
For my work experience, I went to the Sidmouth Veterinary Practice.
So I went to medieval manuscript workshops.
So I went to Dunn Marino Associates, which is an architect firm on the other side of Exeter.
During the week, I mainly helped about with appointments and helping animals into their kennels and looking after them. From time to time, I'd help out with operations by bringing over a needle and maybe some form of chemical or something, and generally just helped them out.
During the week, I set a project where I was supposed to design a house in a made-up plot, I think in somewhere in Somerset, between two cottages 2 metres apart.
I learnt how to paint in very fine detail using new mediums like gesso and gold.
During the week, I learnt how the process an architect uses to go about building a house. So from making a self-brief all the way to designing and presenting to the office.
I definitely learned more people skills and how to deal with certain unfortunate events, and also I learned how to handle animals a lot better, and it gave me a nice insight in what I want to do later in life.
We were studying the Norman Conquest and we went to Totnes.
The castle was built by Jewel, and we learnt that about all the different parts and that they forced the peasants to create it for them.
William the Conqueror actually enforced rules and stuff like that through the church because they were the ones who were believed the most. The peasants always believed everything the priest said.
They used to live in the bottom bit of the castle, which was called the Bailey, and they left the top bit of the castle, which is called the Keep, for storage.
We entered a PSA video competition about whether you have to be superhuman to be US president. Our video was in the style of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
On Tuesday the 8th, we went to the Houses of Parliament in London, and we were interviewed by a panel of judges, including John Bercow, an editor from the New York Times, and members from the PSA.
The overall aim of the video was to convince the panel that whilst being US President, you didn't have to be superhuman, you just had to have a good political understanding and because you had your cabinet to advise you and Congress to help you in law decisions.
This term we volunteered with the Seaton Down Horde Primary School Outreach Programme, in which we helped volunteers from Exeter Museum run activities for primary school children.
So one of the activities was to make Roman coins. Each child got to make their own coin with our help. We did it in a similar way as the Romans would have manufactured their coins.
There was also a digging activity where the children could experience what Mr. Edgerton experienced, finding coins and bits of pottery in the sand. They also used metal detectors, which was quite fun.
Another activity we did was comparing Roman East Devon to modern East Devon, and in pairs the children were looking at the different areas around East Devon and seeing how they've changed over the years.
We also had some examples of Roman artefacts, and we had their comparable artefacts from nowadays, so the children could actually see what they had in Roman East Devon and what we have nowadays.
Ollie, the Roman soldier, was reenacting passages of Latin that Roman soldiers would have said, and he told the children stories about what it was like to be a Roman soldier.
On the 11th of October, a group of Year 10 students attended a GCSE RE conference in Bruton.
Quite a few issues which were very relevant and controversial.
The issue of aborting babies with imperfections was brought up.
It let us see two sides of the argument which you might not otherwise think about.
I didn't realise how bankrupt Britain actually was in terms of can they afford vaccinations.
Probably my favourite lecture was on war, such as Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan, and kill thousands of people, thousands of innocent people every year.
The old techniques of war aren't being used so much.
It taught me about whether or not it's morally right to be with someone and the qualities you should look for, which would be useful in later life when you need to know about it.
The lectures were delivered by Dr. Peter Vardy, he is an eminent theologian and philosopher.
He managed to keep it quite concise, and he was very neutral, so he kept both sides. He said things for both sides of the argument.
He was a very engaging speaker, very passionate about what he was saying, and he made all the issues very relevant and accessible to everyone.
This year, we took part in the Royal Geographical Society's Young Geographer of the Year competition. We were lucky enough to be selected as highly commended out of 5,000 entries, and this was a real honour.
The theme this year was How Was Britain Changing? We had to research the human and physical geography, and then we went to London in November to receive our awards.
Earlier in the year, me and Jack entered the Geographical Association Physical Geography Photo Competition. I came second place overall, and in April I'm going to Guildford to collect my prize.
I got highly commended and I won an atlas. My inquiry was about Blackdown Hills and how quickly the springs react to rainfall there.
And my inquiry was about a lake in the Lake District and why it forms differently in certain places.
This year I took part in the Geographical Association Post-16 essay competition, and I was really thrilled to win the first prize. Having grown up in the Cotswolds, I decided to write about the connections created by canals. So that was writing about the connections created locally, here in Exeter, nationally, and also globally.
So at the end of June, 6 of us then Year 12 students travelled up to Birmingham for the national final of the ICAW's BASE Business Skills competition. We actually won that competition against 47 other schools from right across the country, Northern Ireland, Scotland, all over the place.
As our prize, we were invited for a dinner in London, where we met the Chief Executive of the ICAW, Michael Iser, and I got an opportunity to interview him.
So last term we got to do an experiment from the Royal Horticultural Society with the Principia mission, which was Tim Peake's mission. We got 2 sets of rocket seeds, half of which had been in space, and so we got to grow them together and compare the two, and then we had to collect loads of data and input it into online systems for them to analyse. And then after we did that, we wrote up the experiment and did a load of extra research to see other experiments that had gone.
So then we got to go to the Principia conference in Portsmouth for 2 days. This was an activity day, and we got to meet Tim Peake on the second day. So on that activity day we did some Raspberry Pi, and we got to go in a space dome. And on the second day we actually met Tim Peake, told him about our findings, and explained everything to him, and that was really interesting.